Good morning, Karina.
Hi, good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Katrina.
Good morning.
Oh, I'm so excited to be talking about this, and I know Katrina is too. This is a really unique conversation that we're going to be having on equine assisted coaching, and I'm going to turn it over to you in just a little bit here, Karina. But for anybody who is listening, who has ever maybe heard a little bit about this, or maybe has no idea what we're talking about, we're really going to be bringing in this element of having horses incorporated into coaching sessions and really tapping into this natural wisdom and intelligence that horses have. And Karina is, we've talked about this a little bit offline before when we've met, but there's just so much here. There's so much information and just stuff that I never even knew, that I'm just excited to be bringing to this episode. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak about it because it
Yeah.
lights me up.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is. And you and I have had conversations on some other, lives that we have done, but this is so unique. And so, yeah, just really excited about it.
Yeah. I'm going to start a little bit with how I got here.
Yeah, let's do it.
I grew up with horses. So at age 4, I had a pony. I have a sister who's older than me. And so she got a pony. And so then I'm 4 years old riding her pony. And my parents ended up building a horse farm. And just, I've always had horses. And I showed horses, trained horses, um, controlled horses, dominated horses, expected them to do what I asked of them. And that was it. That's how I was taught. And then in my 20s, I ended up in healthcare as a nurse and went to grad school, became a nurse practitioner. Horses were there. My parents had the farm. I had a horse on the farm and wasn't showing, but they were still in my life. And about 4 years ago, my parents sold their farm. And 3 years ago, I became a transformational coach. I got a certification in coaching. Um, a friend of mine passed away from breast cancer, and that really changed the trajectory of my life. And I started to really get burnout from the traditional healthcare system. And this transformational coaching and lifestyle medicine became like the direction I wanted to go after Joanna passed away. And I started my own business as a transformational coach, still working as a nurse practitioner. A year ago, I left the clinic and I've been a full-blown entrepreneur. Also, I do have a bachelor's degree in communications. Before I became a nurse, I thought I wanted to be in business. So I've really kind of blended the two now, the business being having my own business and still being working as a nurse practitioner for myself. Um, but the horses came along about a year and a half ago. They came back into my life, and as my mentor says, they tapped me on the shoulder, and boy, did they ever. I was at a retreat that I didn't know horses would be a part of. It was kind of like a show up and let's see what comes of this invitation. And I did. I flew to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and when we pulled on to the ranch, I was like, "Oh, horses! I know horses." And the woman who's now my coach and mentor, Kelly Wendorf, I met her and she said, I want you to go into the arena and I want you to forget everything you know about horses. And I thought, well, how do you do that? Like, I know everything about horses. It turns out I don't know much at all. I'm like relearning everything at this point in the game. So I went in the arena with these horses who I didn't know, and I didn't really know what to expect. Or like, what do you do with them? I'm just like standing there. They're at liberty. They don't have halters on. And I was thinking about how to describe it this morning, an awakening. And I've had different forms of these in my lifetime, but I wasn't looking for this one. And it was this overwhelming sense of, oh my gosh, it was like abuse the way I used to treat horses in with, spurs and whips and heavy bits. And um, I started crying and she asked what was coming up. And I was like, I just feel so bad for what I've done in the past. And I wish that I could see all those horses again and do it different. And here's what the awakening was. There's a different way to be with horses.
Mhm.
And for, 40 years of my life, I thought there was only one way to be with horses, and I thought I had that down pat. I knew how to do that. And so she offered that this horse. um, what if he could forgive me? And how would that change things? And I asked silently for forgiveness, and I was just bawling. And she said, "What did you hear?" And I said, like, "I'm forgiven,"
Mm,
you know? And it was just the most powerful moment.
mm,
And I got back on the plane and I was leaving Santa Fe, and I was like, oh no, I'm supposed to have horses in my life again. And
mm,
how do you do that? I live bi-coastally. We have a home in California and a home in Pennsylvania. We have a very freedom-filled life. We chose not to have children. And in that, we come and go and move around a lot. Um, and horses require a whole lot of stability. Um, and yes, there's a pretty big financial aspect to that. But besides that, it's like, am I willing to give up the freedoms that I have to like stay in one spot and have horses again? And so in the past year and a half, I've been working with horses just on the ground, just sitting in silence and wa listening, trying to watch their moves, the flick of an ear, a quick blink. How do they interact with each other in a herd? Because they speak to each other. And that's where I'm at now. I've started riding again, and it really feels overwhelming because I only know one way to ride, and that again is this like kind of power over.
mm,
And I rode a couple times here in the past few months, and like I need to go back to the ground and just start watching again because it does feel overwhelming. My brain is so hardwired to work with horses in one way, it just goes back to that naturally. And I'm like, that's not right, but I don't know what is because I'm in this learning phase of what is. So I have access now to multiple horses on multiple different farms, which has just really felt like magic. And I do my equine assisted coaching work. I started that in June of this year, bringing clients out and allowing them to stand with the horse in the arena and allow them to feel the magic and the power that comes from being with an ancient teacher.
mm.
And I feel like I've been talking a lot, but I really want to tell the story of a 56 million-year-old teacher, which
Mm.
is the horse.
Yeah.
And go ahead. Yeah.
No, yeah. Whenever you say that, whenever you've described that, that just gives me chills because it's so true. And like you said, we just have this like this siloed version of what horses are. And when you started to describe that, it's magnificent to think about it that way.
Oh, I love the word magnificent because I mean, they are magnificent creatures. Um, and I think about the financial aspect too. That feels like magnificent as well. Like it's a big undertaking. But the 56 million years of wisdom. So when I start equine assisted coaching sessions, I say, I don't want you to think that you're going in there and you're standing with a horse. I want you to go in there and ask a 56 million-year-old ancient mentor a question that you have been pondering. And oftentimes, as humans, we have this internal head and heart, right? Our heart knows we should leave our job. Our heart knows we should leave our marriage. Our heart knows, but our brain is like, hang on, you need the stability, blah, 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 blah. But when you go in and you stand with the horse, there's a couple of things at play. Um, their heart is 5 times larger than ours, and they have an electromagnetic field that extends 8 to 10 feet around them, and our heart will sync with theirs, and it brings this innate calming. And with calming comes clarity. So yes, you're tapping into their wisdom, but the truth is that they're giving you the ability to tap into your own innate knowing and wisdom. And people leave and they're like, I know the answer. I've been sitting with this for 2 years, and it was so clear to me
Yeah.
what I need to do next. A woman came out a couple weeks ago. She's wants to retire early. She's done, but she had committed to her boss for 3 more years till he was done with his term. And I'm like, why are you not leaving? Is this a financial thing? She's like, no, because I'm a woman of my word. And so she's 65 years old. Let's say she's got another 25, 30 years left. You're going to commit 5 of those to this guy when you've already committed 20 or however many that was, you know? After she left the pasture with the horse, she was like, I need to retire. Like
Mm,
now, and we've worked on a plan now, a year. She's going to be out in a year.
mm,
But that, it was that clear to her, even though she knew her brain was giving her all the reasons why she shouldn't. And now, like I said, she just shaved 4 years off of that and will be retiring in a year. So it's things like that. But the 56 million years, so there's only a handful of creatures on Earth that remain. 1% can make it through evolutions, and everybody else goes extinct. And the horse is one of those. The duck-billed platypus is another one. But the horses have been on Earth for 56 million years. So that is volcanic eruptions, tectonic shifts, ice ages. And how did they do that? And they're prey animals. So they figured it out. They figured out how to live in nature and survive, right? And they did that through multiple ways, but what the whole point is, they figured it out. They probably have something for us,
mm,
right?
mm,
And indigenous cultures believe that the horse was given to us humans as a spiritual guide. And that's been long forgotten with colonization. Whether it's Native Americans, Native Aboriginal people in Australia, this has all been taken away. It has been colonized. And there is a handful of us that are like remembering.
mm,
And we want to share that remembering with anybody who will listen because it's going to benefit not only us as the human race, but it's going to benefit the horse
mm,
because that's what they were given to us for. And yes, they have plowed our fields, rode us into battle. They've done everything we've asked, but there's more to them than that.
mm.
That's so incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Karina. I was just feverishly taking notes because I have such an interest in this subject personally, and I just think it it lights me up so much inside when I think about even you, like picturing your story, you stepping in with the horses, you asking the group of horses for forgiveness. Um, and it almost made me like the way that you were talking, it almost made me look at horse, like the nature of horse, like you said, how you're learning how to watch them and watch their nature as they speak to each other and the little subtle movements and subtle signals that they give each other, the speaking without utilizing any language. Um, and how they are almost given to us as both an oracle and a bit of a savior. I mean, horses not only have done what we've asked of them, but they've also saved us. They've saved our lives at times. They've saved our energy. They care about us. And I think that's just so incredible how you described them as so knowledgeable yet silent, stable, magic, powerful, ancient healer. There's just this innate calm. It sounds like you're describing a monk.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, they're full of love. I mean, um, really, there's a story that I shared with you guys, but there's a turning point here where we can choose love and connection or fear and separation.
Mhm.
And the horse asks us to choose love and connection.
Mhm.
And they teach us that
Mhm.
because fear and separation is not good for the herd.
Mhm.
There's no way in hell horses would have survived 56 million years out of fear and separation. They did it through love and connection.
Mhm.
And if there's any time for that message to be given to us as humans, now is it.
Yeah. I also, 100%. And when you were describing that energetic field and the size of their heart and their ability to calm somebody, it just made me think about the nervous system and how they have this. We talked a few episodes ago about how like the self version of us is that part of us that comes into this loud, crazy, chaotic room and has this innate ability to just give us the shh, the hush that we need. And as you were describing that, I'm thinking of somebody who is so dysregulated, who is so in their head, who is so just has succumbed to their structured mind. And this horse has this ability to silently, without any sort of course, words or anything like that, it just has this ability to come and meet you in your presence and just give you this gentle hush, almost as if to like say, I've got you, you've got you, and just allows the mind to clear and like bring in some clarity, like your client that you were talking about. And so as you were describing it, it gave me a sense of calm vicariously.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And I love how you talk about this being, I want to understand a little bit more too, because you describe it as, so it's equine assisted coaching, right? And so many of us, myself included, hear about therapy, right? We hear about horse therapy. But this is different. This is a different way of looking at it. And so we're bringing in the horses to support and to be part of the coaching session. But like you said, the client is doing the work. And I'm just curious how your previous coaching has now shifted when we're incorporating horses and what that really looks like for somebody.
The horse is the coach.
Mm.
Like 100%, the horse is the coach. I think I'm the connector, I'm the facilitator. I bring the two together. And I heard this from my mentor, and I believe it's true. She said, just trust that the human that has been brought to this horse, they have a soul connection. And
Mm.
whether that agreement was made a lifetime ago, 10 lifetimes ago, or in this current lifetime, that horse and that person had an agreement that they would meet on this day. And when she told me that, I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, like when I met Merlin, that horse in Santa Fe,
Mm.
that had nothing to do with Kelly.
Yeah.
She simply was like, the facilitator who did this. And so it makes my job easy because I'm like, oh, the horse has this. The horse is going to do the coaching. And I'm simply going to keep the space safe and also watch because as an equestrian and also as an equine assisted coach, I know how to relay the messages because people don't know what licking and chewing or yawning or pawing at the ground or the flicking of the ears. Like, so I know this so I can say, what are you thinking about right now? Or what's going on for you right now? Because I saw the horse do this, which could be a release of anxiety. It could be a processing of something when they're yawning repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly. You'll see horses just yawn and yawn, and they're taking what is yours, and it's so heavy they process it through yawns.
Mm.
And so I'm watching, and I'm like the translator, but I'm asking, what's going on? What's coming up for you right now? And then I'll say, because I saw the horse do this. Right? I'm not putting meaning to it. I'm asking them what the meaning is to it, and then I'll help process. So I then do integration calls, and then if people choose to continue work with me without the horses, doing, my normal coaching, it remains the same, only we know exactly what we're going towards. So I'll use the woman who wants to retire, for example. We do our integration call, and it's all about what came up. And yeah, she decided she's going to retire early, but then we have to come up with a whole plan and all the fears that go along with that, right? It's not just like made the decision with this horse and now I'm good to go. Now it's like, now you're going to need support following through with that and all the limiting beliefs and fear that are going to come up with it. So then you get to come and continue work with me towards these like pretty big things that you've been putting off, but now in your heart
Mm.
must continue forward. So the integration is the horse gets to do the coaching in the beginning, and then I get to continue the coaching with whatever decision moving forward to live out your dreams, to really come into a life of freedom and alignment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love that. And you told me too, and if you can speak to this, because I thought this was fascinating when you described how horses have this ability to tap into the energy of the person that you're bringing to them. And, like you were talking about how they can sense fear, for example, and they are very good boundary keepers of their own energy. And so I just was wondering if you could touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, so we were always taught, and most people are told, don't show fear as a little kid. Don't let them know you're scared. I think that's part of the dominance thing too, right? We're leaders who lead by like, I'm not scared, when inside they're like, oh shit, And it's the same thing, only horses know.
Yeah.
And so they don't like incoherence. They like coherence. And so if you're coming in and you're saying, I'm not scared, but your nervous system is like, oh my God, this thing's huge and it's gonna kick me or I'm gonna fall off of it. They know all of that. And that's what makes them uneasy. It's this idea of, that person looks like they're not scared, but like they're screaming scared. And so that makes the horse uneasy. Um, you can't lie to a horse, right? So the masks that you put on, the horse doesn't see that. I mean, they
Mm,
truly just see you in the most non-judgmental way. It's okay to be scared.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. It's like, come at me the way you need to come at me. Like, let's just be here together. Let's just have this conversation. Let's just have this let's just have this exchange. Take it all off. Like, let's leave it all at the door. Just that ability to do that, I just think is so, so powerful. I love that.
And I feel like they force you to take the mask off. I mean, because if
Yes.
you go in there like, I'm not scared, eventually you're going to be like, oh, okay.
Yes.
You can't
Oh,
self-regulate that long, when you're
mm,
truly scared.
Brilliant. I resonate with this all so much. That's honestly how I prefer to deal with people because I just, yeah, the incoherence, the ability to tell incoherence is something that always resonates within my energy. If someone is acting one way, saying something, wearing a mask, but yet I can sense that something else is different on the inside, that's where I get disturbed. And I really love that about horses. I mean, the more that you talk about it, the more amazing it is. And not only that, like Sarah brought up, how their heart is 5 times larger than ours, and they're able to sense your energy from yards away. I think that's something incredible, like 40 yards away. But it's so wonderful to how you're connecting that, like, the horse has survived this long in a herd because of love and connection. They've been able to protect themselves because of love and connection, and how the world needs that more than ever right now. Not only that, but I also wanted to point out that, isn't it correct that the leader of the herd is actually the calmest female?
Most often, yes, yes. And again, the media and traditionally we're taught that it's like the strongest stallion, the loudest, beat you up, but it's not. It's the most present.
Mm,
Because if you're off fighting and being a jerk,
mm,
which, a lot of stallions are, a lot of mares are too. But anyways, yeah, you're not paying attention to the herd because you're over here being a jerk, fighting, and there's a hungry lion over there in the bushes, and you're not present. You're over here, fighting. So yes, it most
mm.
often is times the quietest, most present,
And
usually.
they all look to her for those signals that you were talking about, that it's safe or not safe, or what to be aware of or not to be aware of. And that's how they all move and grow as a herd. And I love that sentiment so much. And I could talk about this forever. I'm so incredibly enamored by the way that horses sort of save us in a way, and how you described in your story how you felt immediately a completely different way than the way that you were conditioned. Once you got around horses again at this ranch in Santa Fe where you met your mentor and you met this horse Merlin who changed your trajectory, and how it just brought you to tears, and how you wanted right away to say how wrong you were and how sorry you were, and how dominating horses wasn't the right way to go. And you realize that immediately, and you literally changed your entire trajectory because of that. And what I think was most amazing about that is that the horse was able to tell you more and more with just the horse's energy that it was okay and that you were forgiven. And that is so incredible as a transformation. And I can see why you want to promote this type of work. If someone were curious about having this type of equine assisted coaching, having this type of experience themselves around horses, around their oracle hearts, um, what can you describe more about the type of session that this, like what this might look like.
Yeah, I can talk about what it looks like with me.
Mhm.
And there are plenty of people doing this. I want to touch back on what Sarah said. The equine assisted therapy, I mean, it is magic. Um, but it's different. And it's different because I'm not a therapist and I'm not a licensed therapist, but I am a certified coach. But the other thing is we're really working on like PTSD, trauma-related anxiety and depression, and that's going to take longer. You're probably not going to figure that out in one session, although you could, it's that powerful. But the coaching is really like, let's go in there with this wise and ancient teacher to tap in to your own wisdom, and the PTSD and the anxiety and depression is a little bit different. It's going to be utilized a little bit different. Um, but I want to speak to life saving, and I'm going to come back to your question, Katrina. But I recently started working with an organization called Saddles and Service, and they partner with horses and veterans and first responders to decrease rates of suicide. And I fell into this. And every single hero is what they call the people in the program. It's a year-long program. Has said to me, this has changed my life. And when we talk about life saving, I'm like gonna get emotional here. Like these guys are like war-torn veterans that have such terrible stories about what they've seen, what they've done in the line of duty. And the horses don't see any of that. And if anything, they give full forgiveness for that. And to think that those horses on that ranch could be saving, there's a wait list of 140 veterans to get in. It's not enough support yet. Anyways, they truly can save lives. And so I just wanted to speak to that because you've said that a couple times. And it is like very evident to me that that is indeed 100% true. An equine assisted coaching session, what that looks like for how I lay it out is you come out to the farm and immediately the farm is nature, right? There's other animals, chickens, ducks, dogs, cats, lots of horses, lots of space, lots of grass, you know? And so as soon as you get out of the car, nature is already supporting what's about to happen with the horses. And we sit down and we have a conversation about what you'd like to get out of your session. You know, what are these questions that you're pondering? And I'll have the client write down 3 to 5 powerful questions that they want to take in with the horse. Then we go down and we meet the horse. And I give candy to the parts of the brain that's like, what's its name? How old is it? What kind of horse is it? Right? Because our brain wants to know all these things before we go in to meet the horse. And so, you know, I honor that and I give a background. And oftentimes, the coolest part is when I'll tell the horse's story, I'll tell a brief story about the horse. The person will say, oh my gosh, that's me. Like, I also am a perfectionist and do everything I was told and have burnt myself out, you know, because these horses usually they aren't like babies, right? They have pasts and oftentimes traumatic pasts. And when I tell the story of the horse, whichever horse is in the arena, the person's like, and that's part of that, like, man, can't make that up. I'm like, well, I didn't know that about you. That's cool that you already feel connected to this animal in that way. And then I turn them loose in the arena for 25 minutes. I say, I'm going to set a clock here and I'm just going to watch from afar. And I go as far away as I can to disconnect my energy from the horse. Oftentimes, the horses want to be where I am. And so if I sit too close to the fence, then they just want to like hang out where I am. And I don't know what that's all about, but it doesn't matter. So I'll go as far away as I can on top of a hill and I'll watch. And I'll say, and nothing, you know, has ever happened. And I doubt it will, but I'm like, if I yell, that means like get out of the way because I can see they are animals and they are flight animals. They will run and they will run over you. If they are scared, as much as they love us, they are going to self-protect. And that's part of that 56 million years. Like, get out of the way, you know. So I always say, like, I'll be watching from afar. If I holler, that means get out of the way. So I think that brings a sense of safety of like, okay, she's gonna keep an eye on everything. And I let whatever unfold. And they say you can go up to them, you can stand in the far corner of the arena. There is no wrong way to do this. It is all going to play out exactly how it's supposed to play out. I give them a 5-minute warning, and then I come down and I stand in the arena or on the side of the fence and speak with. Then we do a coaching session, about 20 minutes of integrated with the horse standing there. What happened? What came up for you? Then they come out and they'll journal pretty extensively about their experience. And that's it. I have little gift bags that are really powerful little reminders of their experience.
Mhm.
Um, and then they go home.
Mhm.
And we do a follow-up call sometime in the next month. But I believe that this is something that you will integrate absolutely forever, because if it was like me and it was like for my other client that we'll just keep talking about that one, it's going to change the trajectory of things for you. So this one experience, just let it simmer. Um, yeah, so that's what it looks like for me. It's about a 2-hour experience. I never rush it. If we
Mhm.
hang out for longer, we do, but that's how I do it.
You know what's so cool about that? I just want to say this is you are beautifully describing just even like the coaching relationship and how like horses also, what you're not saying is that horses are going to come in and fix everything, just like a
Mhm.
coach is not going to come in and fix everything, right? And so like how many times have a client said to you, like they've said to me, like, well, just fix it. I just want to fix it. The horse is there to give you this space and this presence to be able to turn that mirror around to say, you can do this. And let me just give you this moment, this time, this space to calm down, to clear things out. And I'm just going to support you in it. I'm going to nourish with you. I'm going to co-regulate with you, but you can do this. You've got this. So the horse isn't fixing anything. They're just holding you in it, right?
100%. And nobody needs fixed, right?
Right.
We're all whole and complete. And the horse sees that. The horse doesn't
Mhm.
see anything that needs fixed.
Yeah.
They see you as whole and complete. And they know that you're wise.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. They're not giving you anything that you don't already innately know.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's so beautiful, that description of how the horse is sort of like the energy catalyst to those subtle shifts that are going to happen in the next 2 weeks to a month until you have that follow-up call, because they're going to notice that things in their life have shifted, because that's how energy works. And the horse's innate wisdom from 56 million years of being a horse on earth and what that means, it's so wise, it's so incredible. And I love how you reference sort of like the magic that happens. And there's so much evidence, like scientifically proven, how everything that you're saying so far, 56 million years, they silently guide each other, they're knowledgeable, they're stable. But that part about the horse magic, like descriptor of that horse magic energy, what words would you use to describe that?
It's an experience, right? And you know how it's an embodied experience. I had a gal come out who does breath work for a living, and she's like, she said, it's such an embodied experience because you feel what you know. And once you feel it in your body, it's like, oh, like I've known all along, but there's something about this magic and the spirit of the horse that is like, you feel it in your body. And yes, people cry. Like, I haven't had anybody come out that hasn't cried. Because there's like this almost, oh my God, feeling, but also like a little bit of fear of, now that I know, I'm gonna have to do something about it. Or you're just blatantly living out of alignment.
Mhm.
Like if you leave and you're like, okay, now I know, and I'm not gonna do anything about it, like things aren't gonna get any better for you,
Yeah.
right? Because you're gonna choose to live out of alignment, which but by all means, right? But that's oftentimes people are after the experience, they're ready to make the change, whatever that change might be.
Mhm. Mhm.
What incredible truth you just served us this morning. I mean, you just described in an incredible way, like so simplified and so real. Feeling what you know is embodiment. That's so incredible. Like feeling what you know is embodiment. It couldn't get more simple than that. I mean, like talk about coming with the truth. That's
Mhm.
amazing.
When
Yeah.
she gave me that word, I was like, duh. I said, can I start using that? Like, I know the word embodiment, right? But I also know what she was saying in this context. And I was like, oh, that's why this is powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things, but that's it, right? When you feel something in your body and you're like, oh man, I
Mhm.
can't think my way out of this one.
Mhm.
That's your intuition
Yeah.
that we override.
The word that was coming up for me as when you asked it, Katrina, and then Karina, when you were describing it too, was like you used the word remembrance before. And it felt like this returning, like you have been so disconnected and so out here and so, dissociated from your being that it almost feels like a returning,
You are not learning anything new. You are remembering.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
You are remembering to feel what you know and how free of that, how embodied horses are of true freedom to say like, here's your truth, live it if you won't, if you want to. If you decide not to do it, hey, I'm still out here being a horse and free and being a 56 million-year-old oracle. That's on you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Come back anytime. I'll love you anyways.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much.
But
I
what you're
really,
not going to do is you're not going to come at me with this mask on and pretend like you're going to get past me, because you're just not. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
gosh, I can't. It's hard to articulate how I'm resonating with this right now. Like I can't stop smiling. It's so crazy. And I love this so much. I love this is
You
this is
know,
like
y- y-
yeah.
you know what it's reinforcing for me, and I'm equally as just jazzed that we're having this conversation, but it's reinforcing to me the need and the necessity and the importance, and if not now, more than ever, to start to do our work and to start to come back to ourselves. We talked a few episodes ago about the power of dogs and how they just have this innate ability to regulate with you and just show up and not attach any sort of like story to anything that's happening. They just live in the moment, and it's just like they can just be here and be present. And the same thing that we're having this conversation today, where it's just like these wise ancient teachers that we've been surrounded by forever, just have this ability to have you come into their presence and give you this like silent hush that you've always needed. And it's like these animals just have this ability to filter out the human experience of story and narrative and ego and all of these things. That's just like it's the suffering that we talked about in the last episode too, these stories we attach to, where they don't have that. And so it's like they're here to, I want to say teach us something, but it's almost like they're here to remind us of something. You know what I mean?
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
They're here to remind us of our own wisdom that has got so lost. And if we think about Native people, right? They, everything they were doing was off of intuition, from hunting to sleeping to, everything, building what they built, with what they had to build with. Everything was intuitive, everything. And we have that in us. Right? But it has been, I mean, gosh, generation after generation after generation. The horse was domesticated about 6,000 years ago. Not very long ago, right? If you think about 56 million years, and humans decided we were going to domesticate them 6,000 years ago. Before that, they were just our partners, right? We didn't domesticate them and make them do what we wanted them to do. So it is just a return. It's just a return. This isn't new. It's just we have been seeping in this for generations, and we forgot.
Mhm.
And so what happens what shifts after you learn the truth? What how does life change? I know you have your story of your client who, you know, made the decision, had that clarity. You know, when this clarity comes to you, what what are the next steps? What's the prescription after that when you finally have a clear bit of knowing about yourself?
I love that you use the word prescription because we haven't talked about me being a nurse practitioner at all, and that's like where we'll just leave it at. But it's connection, clarity, and freedom. Okay, so if we're going to look at a prescription and you want my buzzwords, that's what it is. So it's a connection to yourself, and the horse then can help you connect to something bigger than you. So connection, clarity on probably what you already know is true, right? And freedom to live an aligned life.
Mhm.
Because once you tap into that intuition, it's a muscle you can build. And you ladies know this. I would wager a guess that the three women in this space currently are pretty intuitive, right? And maybe we were born that way. Maybe our environment helped foster that, right? But when you start living from your intuition, from your heart instead of your head, if we're going to put it in different terms, that just gives you freedom. Freedom from overwhelm, overthinking. Like I said, freedom to live an aligned life. And so that's huge. And the more you practice living from your heart and practice living from intuition, the more freedom you're going to gain.
Mm.
So freedom is so innately part of me and my value system. I think my top three, one of them is freedom.
Same.
And I think
Yeah.
that the key here is that maybe until I learn from the horse that forgiveness piece, then that freedom can be fully embodied. Because not only does it have to be like freedom, forgiveness from being scared of horses prior. Like in your experience, you described how you were conditioned to work with horses in a certain way, and this is how it was, and you find yourself kind of going back to that conditioning when you're riding now, and how you're like, I need to take a step back and renew the baby steps to figure this out so that I don't jump back into my prior conditioning. And the way that you describe, like I can just sense from the way that you describe the way that the horse forgave you. It's like the horse gave you that gift and allowed you to tap into that awareness and remembering of the freedom that already exists for all of us.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I've told Katrina this before too, and it's just making me think about it, is that one of my top core values, whenever I have been pondering them or reflecting on them, I know them now, but I've always shied away from freedom, even though it was one of my top ones. I've always shied away from claiming it as a value because I wasn't embodying it and I wasn't living it. And I would say it's not one of mine, but even though deep down inside, I knew that it was. And so just having this conversation right now is just bringing me back to the importance of this work. And like I said, I shied away from wanting to integrate freedom into the way that I showed up in life and how I carried myself because it wasn't something that I was doing. And until I started to really do this work. So it's just interesting because it's one of mine too.
Freedom to be who you are,
Mm-hmm.
right? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be like financial freedom or
Right.
freedom to travel, right?
Exactly.
And I think the horse's, freedom to be who you are is foundational.
100%.
And this non-judgment, I think every single client that goes in says, I feel completely seen
Mm,
because there's no judgment. And so when nobody has a filter to judge you through, then you would feel completely seen. And it doesn't matter what you're going in there for. It's like, I just feel like I can be me.
yeah.
Freedom to be you. And if you can get that feeling, for 25 minutes, at least you know it embodied.
Mhm.
I know what it feels like. I'm going to figure out how to get that feeling again.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly how this awakening and remembering works. You don't have to know how to do it. You just have to remember how to feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. I'm so, yeah, this is so powerful. This is such good stuff. And I'm just curious, Karina, if there was anybody who, for somebody who's listening, who is, curious, maybe a little bit nervous, or just wants to learn more, even after, this episode is done, what are some resources, or what are some things that maybe you would say to them, even if they're just considering looking into resources, like where is step one to go from here?
I'm just going to plug my mentor's book because it's life-changing for me, and it's a powerful book. So Kelly Wendorf is her name, and she wrote a book called Flying Lead Change. And in the world of horses, if you can imagine a horse galloping and it changes directions, it will change its lead, and the lead is the front leg that it's leading with at a gallop or a canter. And it can switch. And when it switches the lead that it's on, all four legs are off the ground at once. This, 1,500-pound animal. It's really like acrobatic.
Mm.
And she named the book appropriately that a flying lead change, a transformation, right? From
Yeah.
one lead to the next lead. And I would say get that book on Amazon, give that a read. It talks about the 56 million years of wisdom. It talks a lot about the horse, the indigenous people, and what we've forgotten. So I think that that's a great book to start with.
Mm-hmm.
It's on my Amazon list for sure.
Cool.
And do you know, I mean, and this is maybe you don't, Karina, but yeah, do you know like how co- uh, how well known this is? I mean, is the word getting out? I mean, are these things that people can find no matter where they live, or how would they search this?
Most oftentimes it's called equine assisted learning. Um, I don't know how many people are teaching it with the wisdom part
Mhm.
and the 56 million years and how did they do that. I think you can get it in different forms, but I don't know how many people are actually doing it like with using the wisdom component. But if you feel called, just figure out how to get with horses and you can make it your own.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's nice to have like a good guide and a good coach. But if your desire is just to go be with a horse, just go be with a horse and it will all unfold. The spirit of the horse is the most powerful thing I think I've ever experienced. And, I still don't own a horse, and I have more horses in my life than honestly I could even get to know. Like I have to choose the ones that I want to work with because I have access to so many. And how did that happen? That was the spirit of the horse. So if you're feeling like, oh, this is something I want to check out, but I don't know how to get to her. Or I don't know how to just find a horse, put the intention out there. And once they tap you on the shoulder, it's like you can't really stop the movement.
Mhm.
Um, so just put the intention out there, start asking questions.
Yeah. And how do they get a hold of you if they want to talk to you more about it?
Go to my website. It's themindfulnp.org. You can find me on Facebook, Karena Hammon. Send me a message. Just send me a message on Messenger or, get on a possibility call. I do 30-minute calls just to meet you and greet you.
Yeah.
I do work in Pennsylvania with horses. I do work in San Diego and Southern California. This summer 2026, I was mentioning to you girls, I'm going to try to hold like a half-day retreat with horses. This wisdom coaching in Minnesota. So keep an eye on my website because maybe I'll be coming to a state near you. I do retreats as well. So there's one coming up in a few weeks in Pennsylvania, and all of my retreats have horses. So just check out my website.
Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much for telling us about this, Karina. My life has changed already just from learning about this experience and when we first met and talked about this. I bought a book. I found resources that you recommended. I mean, really, if this feels like a pull to you in any way, do something about it and by get near a horse, get near that 56 million-year-old oracle, and feel what it feels like to embody what you already know.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well,
And yeah, in follow the nudge. A couple episodes ago, Katrina had an in the moment reflection about how she wanted to start riding horses. And now here we are a couple weeks later having this conversation with you. So follow the nudge, you know?
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Katrina. Hold on. Let's say Katrina. Thank you so much, Karina, for this. I mean, we, like Katrina said, we could talk about this for forever and ever and ever. And this is just the beginning. And I'm so looking forward to hearing more about how this work unfolds for you. I'm so lucky to have you in my life and that I can follow you in your journey on social media and otherwise. And no, I just really am honored that you shared this space with us today. And so thank you so much for sharing your time.
Thanks, Sarah and Katrina. It was nice to meet you. I have no doubt your life is about to change.
Absolutely, I feel it. So thank you so much, Karina. It was wonderful to get to know you more and hear more about this story of your beautiful work with these incredible creatures.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.